Hello. Hello, my friends. How are you this morning? It's good to see you. I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to having a rousing conversation today, as always. We get going, don't we? So, welcome to Ask Me Anything, which I mean, it's such an audacious title. It's a little embarrassing, but really, that's just to indicate that everything's open. We can go ahead and just rip, roar, and snort into whatever we want to talk about. And right now, I'm just trying to. There we go. Yeah, okay. I like to have it on gallery so I can see everybody and I get it off of my own face, which I don't really like. I mean, I like my face, but I don't want to look at it. So, Hosanna, hi there, girlfriend. How's it hanging? Yeah, you holding Sebastopol together? I can't hear you, but it's yeah, great. Right. Marion, how's it going? I got the dynamic duo of is that Jeannie McKenzie behind you? Honest to God, that's Jeannie McKenzie. Hi, Jeannie. Come off of mute and say hello. Jeannie McKenzie, fantastic healer.
Hi.
Hi, a teacher of all things esoteric and wonderful. How are you?
Great.
Wow. Well, welcome.
Delighted to see you.
It's great having you around.
Yeah.
So those of you who don't know Jeannie was went into my very first practitioner training after I started back teaching again in I guess I started back in about 2013, and I think you became a practitioner in 14 or something like that, right in that time.
Yeah, I was taking classes with you from 2013 until 2019, I think. Something like that. It was a lot.
Something like that. Yeah. So it's wonderful to have you and welcome. And we've got our friend Michelle is here from France, bringing the French countryside to us. It was so wonderful. Diane, hello. It's good to see you. Holly, hi again. Great to see you too. And Reverend Christine sitting between two big trees. I like that look. And Fred, hi, honey. How are you? It's good to see Fred. And Janice, part of the dynamic duo of Megan and Janice, the best lunch crew one could ask for. And then Rosamond. Hello, dear. How are you? And I'm looking down here at Amy's iPad, so I'm not sure exactly which Amy it is, but Chanson for sure. Hi there, Chanson. It's good to see you. Chanson, one of our phenomenal practitioners. Excuse me, I have to be able to see a little better than this.
Hi, Des. Thank you.
Oh, it's good to see you, sweetie. So it's great to see you all as Elizabeth Poole just came on. This is great. So we have practitioners from New York to Connecticut to Fairfax with Diane. And of course, everybody else. It's just awesome to see all of you. Here we are today. Ask me anything. So I'm prepared. I've buckled my seatbelt. I've got my thinking cap on. And I actually woke up rested today, which is whoop. Once you're over 70, if you wake up rested in the morning, it's a triumph. So, does anybody want to start things off with the hot and happening question, or should I just launch into some esoteric thing? Okay, Fred. And Eileen Cartfinger. Oh my God.
Well, good morning.
Hi, Fred.
Wonderful to be here. A couple questions. I'm trying to remember all the details that I was thinking about before, but as in the edge practice, when at the very beginning, when connecting to beloved presence, how is that different than just connecting with the vertical divine, presence that's already there? Is it somewhat different? Is it more personalized in the sense? Is it one's just soul over soul? I am presence, or I just, because it's, to me, I'm unable to distinguish it. I'm just connected to that anyway. So help me out in the invoking process. How is that different? Because it feels somewhat the same.
This is a wonderful question, Fred. Thank you so much for bringing it. I appreciate it tremendously. So here's the way I kind of break it down. We have the amazing soul presence of the universe, which is omnipresent. It's all things, it's creation, it's the totality. And that little bit of our core is that.
Yeah.
So at our core, we have the totality. And then we are created out of what we call the individuation, which is the currents that split off the core and then began to co-create with divine source. So when we create our own structure, we're in a co-creative mode. We are acting as original creators. We are unique. Each person is unique. Even each squirrel is unique. Every living creature is unique unto itself. That individuation, that uniqueness is one of the things that gives us this power, right? Gives us this ability to, in fact, invite our presence, our essence, our spirit into our bodies. So when your physical body is born, the question is, have you been essentially initialized or initiated? Have you landed your spirit in your body yet? And one would look at a baby. I mean, so many babies, you look at them and they're so spiritually awake. They're so present. You think, well, that job done, we could check that off. Baby's spirit is embodied. But the fact of the matter is the culture we've created, the energetic we've created as a human species, people become disembodied. People become less spiritually present. You go to kindergarten and the kindergarten teacher tells you that your drawings are scribble scrabbles and aren't good enough, and your spirit is affected. So I find for most adults, there is a lack of spiritual embodiment. And so we begin the edge practice with embodied presence, which is really a healing moment for people because they're consciously inviting into this material reality a spiritual aspect. And that spiritual aspect is sort of the little wisp of the divine that's floating in our subtle structure, which we have created. So we've been at the impetus of this beautiful creation, the soul structure. And as it's enforced over time, we become stronger and stronger, more awakened and more cautiously aware of how we can impact or not impact all of creation. But oftentimes, as people are on that track, they forget. And we see people walking around all the time who have forgotten how connected they are to the divine. They're spiritually unconscious, right? And so by starting the edge practice with a reiteration of my spirit is mine to embody, and I am that, you become much bigger and more able to own everything that you are, as opposed to just the small idea of an egoic nature. I will answer your question.
You are. It's a function of time. I would say that I could really identify in my past, existence here, where I was floating mostly above the body and out of that.
Right.
Now, it's that's not the case now. And so as I'm practicing, as I'm reiterating the edge practice, it seems like I'm invoking something that's already there. And I'm looking to, will be doing my own kind of variation. I'm looking to kind of smooth that over, but I'm just kind of curious, is the, and you've answered it, is the inclination that I have that I'm already corrected. I love reinforcing I am that presence. Don't get me wrong. It's just a matter of, it seemed like there was, my intention needed to be clarified as I was doing that.
Yeah, and I think intention is so powerful, and it is indeed one of the things that our mind can do. Our mind can set an intention, and by giving our mind that job, we kind of get it out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So when we have the exciting, dynamic opportunity to re-embody our presence, in other words, invite it again to come into our physicality, all you're really doing is reasserting.
Yeah.
You know, you're saying, again, I am stating again that I am consciously embodied.
Gotcha. Because I felt like I was kind of invoking a separation that isn't there. And,
No.
and that's what I wanted to kind of skip over. So anyway,
I'm so glad you said something, Fred.
Yeah.
I love your questions. You always bring it, Fred. Thank you.
So I have a second question. That's okay.
Okay. Ask your second question. Go ahead.
So it's about the flow of energy. And again, I'm kind of a, Johnny one actor, because all I really know through all of your teachings is the edge practice. So that's I continue to come back to that and play with it. But
that's okay, man.
So as I'm at the edge, as I'm, savoring, the edge, I'm just aware of, and if I could just pre-say that, before, I've had for a long time the experience of just being centered in the heart, a toroidal energetic field, that of flow. And it's something that is, the words that kind of come to me, there's both a receptivity of energy, there's a transmutation, and then there's a transmission, and there's just this flow. And so it's not something I can ignore as I'm doing the edge practice. That's just part of my awareness.
You should not ignore that, Fred.
Well, it's tough not to, but it's definitely part of my awareness. And so what's going on is, through my own creation, so the creativity, that toroidal field, which is, it feels like it's centered at the heart. It could be centered at the solar plexus, where where the cross is, but I don't know. I can't distinguish that, and I don't want to mess with it. I'm just experiencing it. But
let me just interrupt you, because I'm going to address what you're saying.
Okay.
The toroidal field that you're in touch with is basically your electromagnetic field. It is toroidal in essence. It is moving, and it's right around you. It doesn't go out as far as the sacred anatomy does, which is like 20, 25, 30 feet. But your toroidal field is right close in. It goes out about maybe 6 feet. Okay. And that's electromagnetic energy. You could think of it as your chi field, and you're about the heart. It's right smack dab middle of your electromagnetic field. So your heart is creating all kinds of electrical impulses, right? Your brain and your heart do that. And actually every single cell in your body does that. So this toroidal field that you're in touch with, it's great that you're awake to it and aware of it. The third step of the edge practice, which teaches you to understand that there's a difference between the physical body, the electromagnetic field, and the sacred anatomy field, that there's these three edges, so to speak. That's where that bit of awareness could be highlighted and expanded. So if you wanted to bring in your heart awareness, the third step, that'd be great,
Well, if I understand correctly, that's what I believe I'm playing with right now, because it feels like toroidal field is at the edge, as I'm experiencing the edge, I'm feeling that kind of flow there, and it's tough for me to distinguish what 20 feet is and 6 feet. That's just that kind of spatial. It's just out there.
Yeah.
But
Well, what I can tell you is that there is a distinction between the two.
I hear that. I hear
And
that.
the edge of the electromagnetic field has a different vibration. It's made of different energy than the subtle field, which is made of subtle energy. So it's got a different quality to it. It's a different color. It's got a different vibratory rate. It's going at a different speed. So what I would suggest is that you own that toroidal field that you're talking about, and maybe yours
it owns me.
Well, okay, but that you own it.
Mm-hmm.
At the edge of it, that you understand the edge of it, but that you then become aware that there's something beyond that.
Okay.
And that you can move out to that. So I think what you're doing is stretching your electromagnetic field out, which isn't necessarily healthy.
Well, and I was wondering about that because that's an area of concern because I can be quite a magnet for overwhelm in that regard.
See if you can pull it in. There's actually handles. Put your hand, pull in your electromagnetic field and try to get it in, 4 to 6 feet around your physical body. And then become aware of the edge of that electromagnetic field. And then see what you notice about the next part.
Well, that's what I thought I was doing because when I'm at the edge, it's ecstasy. I mean, I'm aware of that ecstasy, and then I'm aware of the flow, and the toroidal field comes in. So that's where I'm at. So I will ponder that more.
I mean, far be it for me to tell you what to feel. I mean, you're a guy who's an individual. I mean, you're having your own experience. So I'm all about that. I love that. But I just want you to be open to the possibility that there might be yet something more.
Okay, I am.
Not to say you shouldn't feel what you do, okay?
Understand. I'm just trying to distinguish it as I'm exploring it and being curious about it, but more specifically experiencing it. And I've been very much the benefit for me of the edge practice is distinguished from being beyond my electromagnetic field because if I used to be just stuck there in hindsight,
right,
and I would just deplete myself by just over expanding. So that's to me the benefit of the edge practice. And when I feel I'm at the edge, when I'm settled and quiet and I'm at the edge,
yeah,
it's joyful.
Are you at the edge right now, Fred?
Probably not because I'm focusing on what I'm saying. So.
Which means you're probably way in your electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe over the course of our hour together today, you can try to distinguish between.
I will.
Yeah, give it a shot and then pop back in. Tell me what you're feeling.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. What a great way to start. Janice. Hello. How you doing in Florida? Okay, you got to come off that mute, Cookie. There we go.
Well, I had a question, and then I have another question follow up to what you just were talking to Fred about.
Right.
So in the mornings, I do the yellow rain and the golden rain and the power pack. So in the process of doing that, you pull in the electromagnetic field. Is there a danger to pulling it in and holding it in all the time? And rather, he was expanding it, but I'm saying, should you re-expand it after you do that? Or is it okay to just leave it tucked in tight?
It's perfectly okay to just leave it right there.
Okay.
And the reason is because it depletes you to expand your electromagnetic field.
Okay.
And I mean, there are people, who do that, who expand their electromagnetic energy, but it takes years and years and years of physical training to do that, and is depleting for the physical body. So
okay.
it's better for people who are not, mixed martial artists, for example, like, to keep their electromagnetic field a little closer. But I know you run.
Yes.
So when you run, your electromagnetic field expands because you're generating all kinds of chi running. And so your electromagnetic field gets bigger than 4 feet. It probably gets, 8 or 10 feet. Will get really big. And then it could settle back down. So it's like small, big, these are judgments, these are qualitative judgments and definitions that apply to material reality. So if you're working with electromagnetic energy, it's better to keep it contained.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other question, which is why I came to class today, I was wondering how because we just had this eclipse of the moon.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
everything was aligned. And I just wondered what do you see, or how does that affect each individual's structure? It must have some pull or change or variation to the flow of the energy on everybody. And what's your take on that?
Well, my take is that, everything is everything. Everything influences everything all the time. And so, there's all kinds of things we don't even know about going on, asteroids whizzing by the planet, big pulses of plasma shooting out from the sun. And we go about our lives not really knowing that any of that is happening. So did we just lose Janice?
No, I just lowered my hand.
There you moved your screen. Okay. So we essentially are impacted by all kinds of cosmic influences. We accept and respond to the energy of the planets. We accept and respond to the sun and the moon. The moon less in some ways than the sun, but we are reactive to all of those things because we're physical beings and we live on a physical planet. Spiritually, what does it mean when all the planets align and we have an eclipse? It means the adventure continues, we are an explorer species. We're meant to explore. And so here we are. And there's something like this that happens. Our exploration of what it is, why it happens, and how it affects us is critical. Does it affect us when the planets align and there are 6 of them lined up in a row and we have, what was it, February 20th or something, and then there was an eclipse, and oh my God. I think that there is a tremendous impact, and it does affect our structures. They tend to expand into sort of cosmic alignments. They tend to contract when there are powerful events such as asteroids spinning by the Earth or plasma jets coming off of the sun. When that happens, we tend to become protective, so we get smaller a little bit. But does it profoundly affect the way we move through life? Not really. It doesn't. Energetically, we're aware. That's primarily the thing. We're aware. We're awake and aware to everything that's going on, the change in the bee population on the planet. We all feel it. We just don't know we feel it, but we sure do feel it. And if you're a farmer and you depend on the bees and your hives are dying, you're affected a lot more dramatically than one of us city dwellers who's just going to buy their honey at the market, So I think it has a lot to do with your own connectedness to the earth and your ability to to pick up those kinds of sensations. Like, for example, I know many people remember the big tsunami in Indonesia, the huge one that, what was it, killed 100,000 people or something. We all felt that. Everybody felt that. People felt it in their feet. They felt it in sort of the way the water in their own body was moving. And when there are big planetary shifts, we feel it. When there's big earthquakes, your whole body reacts and responds. So is that a spiritual reaction? Not really. It's a very physical reaction. It's a earthbound reaction. You know, our spirits are outside of time and space and outside of material reality. And that's why bringing presence into the body is so powerful, because it connects those two things consciously. So whenever you do that, you have your own little quake, your own little tsunami. Yeah. Well, thanks, Janice. That was a good one. Thank you for asking that. So we got Megan and Jeannie. There's a hand up. I see your hand.
Hi. Well, this is a rather convoluted question.
Oh, good.
Let me explain where I'm coming from with it first. I have a friend who's in her late 30s and has been trying for quite a while now, years, to conceive through IVF. And she says she can feel when her body rejects the either the egg, or she actually was pregnant for 2 months at one point. She gets hot. She feels like she has a fever. Her body aches. And she knows that's when her body is rejecting the embryo or the fetus. And so my questions around this really are, when a person is having trouble conceiving like that, is there a problem attuning to the fetus? Does the mother need to be attuned to the fetus, or is this karmic, or is it there's a certain knowledge and wisdom that the mother says this fetus is dangerous to me, or I'm dangerous to the fetus? Is it a misalignment between that spirit not wanting to come through that mother? What might be going on here?
Well, that's a really good question, you know, because we're certainly seeing more and more issues with young women in their 20s and 30s having difficulty conceiving. And we have to look at that as a species-wise issue. I mean, it's happening all over the place. It isn't just happening in the United States. It's happening across the world. So, I mean, I think that's an interesting idea of attunement. And let me, I mean, that kind of brings up another thing I've been contemplating lately, which is the brilliance, the frequency of these new babies that are being born. I don't know if anybody here has noticed, but the new little people that are coming in, and when we talked about like indigo babies and stuff, they're not indigo babies. These guys are totally different. So the new ones that are coming in, the frequency that they're carrying, the energetic frequency they're carrying is so high, so different, and so ready for the awakening we've been talking about for 50 years. So this awakening that's coming for the human species. So it's possible that the mother is out of vibrational alignment with the baby, and that's part of what's happening. So your idea of attuning the mother and the baby is not a bad one, I think. I mean, it'd be worth a shot. And the poor woman, I mean, you know, God help her. You know, there's this, and I'm not so sure IVF is all that great anyway. You know, the stuff they do to the woman to get her ready for conceiving and everything. It's so intensely overwhelming and physically damaging. It takes women 10 years to recover from, the IVF experience. And some women just never really fully recover from it. Their bodies are forever changed. So there's something wrong with that, and I can't point to exactly what, but I'm just saying as a general sort of overview, all the stuff that she's had to go through. So clearing some of that out, doing the subtle clearings that you know how to do would be really good. Rebuilding and rebooting, doing all the electromagnetic field work that you know how to do from MedBag, all of that would be helpful. Setting up generators for her for universal love and light to get her frequency up, and counseling her to really start a spiritual practice that gets her frequency up if she doesn't have one already. So and a physical spiritual practice such as walking meditation, or with Jeannie here, we're reminded of Qigong. So, a Qigong movement or something that will bring her a frequency, her biological frequency up a bit might help too. So those are just thoughts, and by no means prescriptive, but I think that it would be an interesting thing to try, Megan.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, and like you tune a medicine before you put it into your body, to yourself, is that same principle. Well, it sounds like it's in reverse. You tune the mother to the coming child at the point of when the embryo is put into the mother, or before that.
Well, the mother, working on this premise, this idea.
Yeah.
The mother's frequency would have to come up.
Okay.
So she'd be doing things to get her frequency up. We've already discussed that.
Yeah.
But then the embryo is implanted. You would be wanting them to be compatible, so attuning them together to each other, attuning
And maybe
and then the other.
And maybe clearing the space between them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent idea too. Yeah, this is a terrifying problem, because having a baby, it's like, falling off a log. You just get pregnant, you have a baby, but it's not. And now it's much more difficult for young women to get pregnant, and men's sperm count is falling, So there's all kinds of pieces to this that are certainly something we should put our hearts and minds to see what we can come up with,
I didn't know the falling off the log is how you got pregnant. So I learned something today.
Well, it used to be in the 60s. That's all I can say. Did you have any other thoughts, Megan? Okay, great. Thank you. It's so good to see you, Jeannie. Jeannie, go ahead.
I have a question about the rainbow lights. I work with them daily, and sat in the cave of Padmasambhava for 10 days in Nepal, and I just, I know that it's like I remember being taught them by you forever ago, and I wonder. One thing that came to my mind is that these new beings coming in are like carrying the rainbow lights. I don't know. I just wonder if there's any insights you can share about the rainbow lights.
Well, the rainbow lights are, for those of you that don't know, the rainbow lights are something that was taught to me by one of the only people that I've ever studied with, Gail Pierce. And Gail Pierce learned the rainbow lights in Tibet in the 30s when she walked through Tibet. And the rainbow lights probably are the origins of Reiki. There's probably some connection, but we never did any sigils, which is what those symbols are. We never did any of that stuff. It was just pure connection to the rainbow and bringing in the colors of the rainbow. Okay, with a little bit extra stuff. So the rainbow lights, I think the white light of clearing or cleaning, cleansing would possibly be the one thing that could affect both mother and baby pretty profoundly. And maybe at the moment of implantation, doing the white light of clearing would bring in this tremendous frequency of purity, clearness. The rainbow lights in and of themselves, they're a transmission, and this work that I do is really the kind of the lineage of the rainbow lights, if you will. And we think in terms of frequency and color, light, and the way all that moves together. But it's important to realize that this is not electromagnetic light, that this is spiritual light. So this is the light of Padmasambhava's cave. This is the light of deep sanctuary. This is the light of enlightened, awakened awareness. So I think the rose red light of love would be the one that I would surround a mother and baby in. Not healing, not wisdom or growth, but the rose red light of love. And I would first really with the white light of clearing, cleansing, and then bring in the rose red light of love and leave them in it. You never bring in anything white and leave anybody in it. It must always be followed by a color of some sort. That's one of the primary rules of the rainbow lights.
Desda, thank you so much. And it's so nice to see you and see you all. And I have to go, but I'll be back.
All right. Well, keep coming back, Jeannie. Take care, sweetheart.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So good to see you. And now it's Ms. Christine Howdle's moment. Go ahead.
Thanks, Desda. This is awesome as always. Love to see everybody. I have a few things on my mind, but the one that's most important is if a person has very distinguishing physical organs and physical systems under, at the same time, where in the field would you go as base to assist that it disappears, basically?
Are you asking about somebody who's like having a cascade of organ failure? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I am.
You can't necessarily reverse that. I mean, somebody's in a cascade of organ failures because they're dying, and do you want to stop them from dying? It depends.
Well, that's what I've been wondering about.
Yeah. I mean, when somebody's actively dying, I always check to see if I have permission to work with this person.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not actually...
Sometimes it's a big no, sometimes it's like, no, this is the moment. There are places in the subtle anatomy where you can approach individual organs and you can work with them. In the cognitive layer, there's 3 different strata for Cheryl, why don't you show us a picture of the cognitive layer? That'd be awesome.
Great.
So there's the organs strata, the system strata, and the skeletal strata. And so everything is kind of covered by one of those strata. So organs is at the bottom, structural or skeletal is right there above it. And then the next one is systems. So these are all subtle and material systems all subtle and material structural support, and all subtle and material organs. And then finally, there's the point of transmutation at the top, which is a place as opposed to a point. But we can enter into any part of the body, one of these strata in our own structure to affect our own body. And then I do teach in Awakening the Nine Level Sensing, I teach a kind of cognitive reading that's like being a medical intuitive. So I teach people how to go into that and awaken to the potential of that organ in somebody else. So I can't in this setting teach how to do that, but this is a place where it can be done.
Okay, and that again was where?
Cognitive layer.
Oh, just in the cognitive layer.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Just right
Okay.
there. You know, and interfering with people dying. I mean, there are times when, you come upon an accident or something and you want to render aid, and it's important to do that. But, usually your aid will not have much effect if that person's moment has come, if it's time for them to go.
Well, that's what I've been sitting with. And this person is very close to me.
Yeah.
It's actually me.
Oh,
And I may as well just spell it out.
close to you for sure.
It's very close to my life.
Okay, so you say that you have organs failing
There's severe issues going on.
in various organs at the same time.
Yes. And when I sit with it, it's like, do I still have a choice? And sometimes it feels like, yes, I absolutely do. And then in other times I'm like, oh, fuck it. It's like too much work or something. Or
Yeah, it can be a lot of work. You're right.
Yeah. So that's why I'm wondering, and also because of, clients and friends and all of that as
So
well.
my advice is to take one thing at a time. In other words, trying to reverse all the organs from failing at the same time is futile. But if you start with one organ and work with that one organ, when I've worked with people who have, like, for example, issues with their heart, they may also have issues with their kidneys and their liver. I mean, they can people often have multiple issues at a time. But if you choose one place to start, try to choose not necessarily the one that's the most damaged, but start with the one that is the most critical. So if the heart stops beating, then who cares about the liver? The liver's like, hey, no heart, we're done. So you don't start with the liver, you start with the heart, and you always start with the heart or the brain, depending on, where the issue is laying. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to build up the vitality of that organ.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you can do that. So I had liver dysfunction in the 80s. And this was before I had created the work that kind of grew out of that whole period of my life. And healing my liver dysfunction. My liver was about 3 times its normal size and was pushing my rib cage out, and it was funky. It smelled terrible. So it was just awful. But what I did was I just concentrated on bringing in energy to create vitality in the organ. And so by doing that gradually over time, along with other things that I did, like acupuncture and body work, I supported my liver to reduce in size and ultimately healed it.
And then one more question about that is, if there's, sometimes we make agreements or make choices of what's happening, right? And so is there a place in the structure? I mean, I could talk with my 4 aspects more, or to help see if there's another game plan.
Well, if you think you have like sort of an agreement that like this is the moment where I'm going to check out, I'm going to die now, you can see if it's possible to reassess and create a new agreement.
And I'm just
we are
doing
co-creative with divine source. We are powerful.
Yes.
And we do not have to just like lay down and accept things unless that's really something that feels right to you.
No, it doesn't. And that's why I'm wanting to understand it, not just for myself.
So taking the example of the heart. So if your heart is damaged to the point where it's sick, then what you want to do is help it release the sickness. So you're doing everything you can think of physically. You're going to the correct physician. You're going to an acupuncturist. You're taking the right herbs or the right drugs. You're doing what you need to do. Maybe even getting a surgery, having a stent put in. You cannot pray away the need for something. Like if you have a hole in your heart, you can't make it go away with spiritual energy. You have to have a surgery. And that surgeon can be completely supported energetically. And you can call on the divine surgeons to come into the room with that surgeon. And you can bring angels present. And you can do all kinds of things. But you still need the damn surgery, you know? So it's really important to realize that we're living in the 21st century for a reason. And some of these parts of our bodies are breaking down, they're not lasting as long as we'd like them to last. In my life, I've had so many miraculous healings. I mean, it truly is. And if we really look at it, just the fact that we're living in the 20th and the 21st century is miraculous in and of itself. I mean, there are so many wonderful things that we've had access to that we wouldn't have had access to 200 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's not about going backward. It's about moving forward. And we want to move forward with integrity, clarity, and wholeness. So whatever you can do to create wholeness in your body, Christine, that's what you need to do. Whatever takes you to be more whole.
Yes.
And that is not all spiritual. You've got to do physical things too. Like you got to eat the right diet and get the right amount of exercise and eat the right amount of food. You got to eat enough food to support your body. And, because one of the things that happens when you're sick is you forget, you don't want to eat anymore. And that's what happens to really old people too. They don't want to eat anymore. They just stop being hungry. Yeah. So these are the things. These are the things that we need to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless, Christine. Okay. Any other thoughts coming up? Any other questions? Cheryl, go ahead.
Yes, Desda. I'd like to understand if when we as practitioners are attuning a medication to make it vibrate more like the person who's taking it, will that attunement of a medication have any impact on the classic side effects that a medication might have?
Yeah, it should. So what we're doing when we're attuning anything, whether it be an embryo or a human body or whatever we're attuning, when we're attuning a prosthesis that somebody's using or a piece of metal that put in to keep that ankle stable after it's been broken. All of these things have to be attuned once they're in the body. So they're in the body, they start emitting a frequency that's out of harmony, and you immediately pull that energetic out and talk to it. And it's the conversation with the frequency that was in the body, but is now in a pile outside of the body, and you're talking to it. That energy is the one that you're going to ask to change. So because you're asking methotrexate to change, let's say, and that person who is suffering from autoimmune disease and is taking methotrexate is having a terrible reaction to it. So over here, you're talking to the drug, and the drug is a helping drug. The drug wants to help. The drug was created to help. Contrary to popular belief, drugs are not created to make money. Drugs are created to help. And most of us in this time are so angry at how much everything costs that we blame everybody who's trying to help. And what you have to realize, you have to stop that, and you have to realize that medication is meant to help. So methotrexate can be a godsend to somebody who's got, terrible psoriatic arthritis, for example, and their body is all curled up and stuff, and they're itching constantly. Methotrexate stops some of those symptoms. It can also give you other symptoms, like your hair falls out. So when we attune methotrexate and we bring the vibration up to that person's vibration, so you have to be able to check for that and check for the vibration of the methotrexate. And when you can get the two of them at the same rate, the methotrexate is going to work better for that person than it did before. And one of the things that proves that is that people have less nausea, less hair loss. Some people, I've attuned chemo medications for people right when they're getting the infusion. So I tell them, they tell me what time. They even will call and say, okay, I'm going into the infusion suite now. And then they'll text, getting it now, and I attune it right then in that moment. Those people have almost no symptoms. So it really matters if the practitioner is in sync with the need of the client. And when they're having their infusion, when they're taking their med. The same thing is true for the COVID vaccine. If people let me know immediately, like at the time they're getting the vaccine, I can attune them. I pull the energy out, I change the frequency of the vaccine, and then we install it into that person. And there's no judgment or blame or anger at the med. And you cannot work with this stuff if you're pissed off at it. It's not, you just can't do it. So you have to be in harmony and know that what you're doing is supporting a human being going through something very difficult, and love conquers all here, so, and if the person doesn't want to take a chemotherapy, you have to get to the bottom of why don't they want to take a chemotherapy. And if it's because they're afraid of the symptoms, you can help with that. If they don't want to take it because they're morally opposed to doing something like that, then that's their choice, And you can't have a meltdown about that either. It's when we're supporting people who are doing things differently than we might do them, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're in tune with their own truth. This has never been more apparent than it has been the last few years, right? Oy vey. We've all
thank
had
you,
this
Desda.
deep, initiation, huh? Okay. Is there anybody else who has a thought, a comment, a question? Hi, Pat. Hi, Lori. Hi, Elizabeth. Amy, it's nice to see your face. Hello. Chelsea. Hi there. Welcome. And Eileen Carpfinger, it's so awesome to see you. I know it's just your name, but I did see your face before. It's great to have you here. Okay, there she is, Eileen. Hey, Eileen. Wow. And how old is your darling little girl, your little daughter? How old is she now?
She's 17 and making lunch for her right now. Yeah.
Oh, God, 17. Wow, that's amazing.
Desda, I'm in Napa now. I just moved back to California after being in Wisconsin for 5 years. So I think we're pretty close now.
Oh, very cool. Well, welcome back to this big state. Welcome
No
back to
kidding.
California.
Yeah. We COVIDed in Wisconsin and now we're back. So
Well,
perfect.
welcome back. It's great
Thank
to have you.
And it's lovely hearing you. Your way is salve to my worried soul with all that's going on the planet. It's just so nice to have agency again in myself, you know? That's
right
great.
on. I mean, what I've been to speak to that, to speak to what's going on our planet. Oy, like I said, oy vey. I think one of the things that we have to remember is that we have the potential to hold the torch, you know, and we are all lit up. Here we are. We're lit up, and we can lift that torch high. I went to a community gathering yesterday, and I walked in and I greeted everyone I could think of with a big hug and a hello. And I held the torch high. And every time somebody wanted to talk about how horrible things are, I also said, and look how we're speaking to each other now so honestly. Isn't it an amazing gift that's coming out of this difficulty? Not saying that the difficulty isn't real, but look how we are. And you really just have to look to what we saw in Minnesota. I mean, that was people coming together to do something. And it was really cool, you know? And so here we are, we've come together and we're doing something. So we can all lift the torch high and say, I am awake. There you go.
Here. Thank you, love. I'll be
Have a
back
good
so
lunch.
that I can keep getting this salve because it's important to me. It's really
I'm doing a sangha nowadays, you guys. The sanga's been happening. It's like 30 minutes of let's, wake up, smell the roses, and remember that we're alive. It's like, come back.
yeah.
Yeah.
When is
we're
that?
numbing. We're numbing out a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah. When are those? Or is Bob sending that information out?
They're posted on my website, but Cheryl and I will share the placard at the end of the thing, so you'll be able to see it today.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. Nice to see you. Okay, another question. Yes, Elizabeth.
Do we have time for a full question?
Yes.
Okay. I forget how long this runs.
This just goes, and when I'm done. That's the way it is.
Well, this is related, I believe, to what we have spoken to about pregnancy, conception, so on, and what's going on in the world these days.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned the way a soul comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Is there's a meeting of elders or something like that, and stuff is discussed, and then this person perhaps chooses their parent or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm wondering about is the following discussed and thought about: what actually happens during the birth, the actual physicality of birth, or is that just left up to chance?
So what are you speaking to exactly? Can you be more specific? Like difficulty in birth, or like a breech birth, or
well, for example, for whatever happens during that period, it may be, a lot of people say, oh, it's the shape of the mother's pelvis, that's all that matters. The baby has to be ideally aligned, and then there's no issue. But there are so many issues with birth, and it can affect how you're born. Really matters, and it can affect a person for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So my question is that part of the big plan, or is that kind of random? That's really my question, I guess, because how you're born matters tremendously.
I think it does matter tremendously, and and which people you choose to parent you matters. And that sets up the relationship between baby and mother, early on, but also baby and father. Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors here. There's so many things. There's, subconscious desires and unconscious reality in relationship to, I don't want to have a baby, or I don't want to be pregnant, or I hate this man I'm with who's made me pregnant, or the baby is a product of a rape or something, So there's all kinds of emotional, psychological factors. But setting those aside, if we might, when we look at like the physical capacity that a woman might have, maybe her pelvis is very small, maybe she has other issues that have made birth difficult for her, that has more to do with her karma and her embodiment as a human than it does the baby. So the baby's already ensouled at the beginning of labor. Generally speaking, babies help the birth process. They don't hinder it. Generally speaking, and this is general, babies are coming out no matter what. And no matter if they have to break their mother's pelvis, they will come out. They will get out. So there's a quality of the impetus of birth, the desire to come forward. It's very animal. It's very mammalian. And when we're being born, there is this desire for life and breath and being. And that's driving this physical thing. But unfortunately, there are many times when mothers and babies are not aligned, the culture they're coming into is not aligned, and the situation that the mother finds herself in the middle of a war zone, or in a starvation or some god-awful thing, and there's difficulty that occurs. There's a societal karma, there's individual karma, there's familial lineage karma. All of that stuff is in play. So you can't really say it's one thing or another. It's kind of everything that's set up. And if you've set aside the emotional and psychological soup that the baby's coming into, and you're just looking at the spirit is in service to growth and evolutionary process. Evolutionary development is what we're about. We are about continued growth. So Fred's conversation that started us off about, what is the distinction between the toroidal electromagnetic energy and the supreme bliss at the edge. What is that, and how does that relate to us as human beings? We have the experience of birth to begin, right? And birth is not easy. It's not easy for anybody. It's not easy for the mother. It's not easy for the baby. And so it's a trial, a test, an initiation. Now, there are some births that are easy. There are some births that the mother doesn't experience pain or trauma. There are some births where the baby comes out smiling. That happens. Why does that happen? Because all that soup, the emotional, psychological part, is squared away. Because the spirits are aligned, because the mother has made space for the baby to come in, and because the baby's karma is such that its beginning is soft. It's rare. It's rare. Usually we have difficulty at some level. And so in the 1920s, when birth was medicalized and women's pregnancies were pathologized, and women began to be treated almost exclusively by men in the latter part of the 1800s, there was this big change that occurred in women's experience of ownership of birth. So the natural birth movement of the 1960s changed a lot of that. And we started to see happier births. We started to see many more people being born in a kind of more easeful way. However, there's still many, many, many women who are in situations where they can't have that kind of support, where they can't give birth in that way. And there are still way more maternal deaths in the United States than there should be. So there is a real a spiritual cultural element that's, I don't think, can be ignored. Mm-hmm. If a baby is being born into a world where, and I'm going to say something that may offend somebody, so I beg forgiveness to begin with, but if children are considered sinful and like they are not saved when they're born, and if they are coming in and the first thing you've got to do is reclaim their soul for your religious beliefs, there is a way that birth experience is not exalted as it should be. And a way that women are treated as lesser than, which is sad to see, but is true in many religious groups. Birth is a high point in most women's lives. When their moment of giving birth, they're holding their baby for the first time, and the experience of having another body pass through your body, it's profoundly illuminating. And it lifts all the boats. So why do we have babies being traumatized? Why do we have mothers being traumatized? Why are families traumatized? It doesn't have to be that way. And it has a lot to do with our orientation, our belief systems, and our culturally accepted behaviors towards birth and labor and new babies. I don't know if I have much more to say about that, Elizabeth. I hope that
right. So it's a topic for discussion, because obviously, I'll tell everybody I work with unhappy newborns. So obviously, I am not getting a full picture of what birthing is like. I obviously am going to be working with things that probably didn't go so smoothly. So yeah. And every now and then I come to a normally born baby, and it's so thrilling.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so I've just been thinking so much about it, about it's karmic, it's not karmic, it's social, it's societal. As you said, there's the soup that comes in. There's the soup with which all of us lead our life. And so for me, the issue is, oh boy, when I see this baby and I hear everything that's gone on in the soup and the this and the that and the da.
Oh, yeah.
What is my best, how can I pull myself back and say, what does this baby need?
I think at the edge, and compassion is the only way. Your own innate knowledge and awareness of how to be with little babies that are traumatized is enhanced by taking that compassionate stance at the edge and allowing yourself to really tune into your own intuition and be directed, which I know is what you do. And that's the most powerful stance we can take, I think.
And very often, there is no such thing as a infant without a caregiver. So very often, it's the caregiver who needs help.
Yeah.
But they are trained to say, oh, don't pay any attention to me. Just work with my baby. My baby isn't moving their bowels, isn't eating, is burping, is blah, 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 blah. Oh, don't pay any attention to me, they say.
Yeah. I mean, that puts you in the position of an educator, really.
Yes, that's what I spend most of my time doing.
And, you know, educating a mother or caregiver of some ilk that their energy affects the baby, and that how they approach the baby as a task, as a job, as a burden, or as a joy is critically important and will affect the baby's demeanor.
And moms are understanding that more and more these days,
Yeah,
but they feel such guilt. They feel such guilt. You know, so it's like,
I think a lot of us, you know, as we became mothers, we realized like we knew absolutely nothing about what we were doing. You know, it wasn't happening up here. It wasn't really logical, and you just had to go with your gut. Baby hungry, give them breast or give them a bottle. Babies needs to be changed. Change them. You know, it's like it was so immediate that you know. But you don't really learn that up here. You don't learn that by reading a book. You learn it by trying to figure out how to put on a diaper. You know, you're like, so you're an educator, Elizabeth. You know, just approach it that way. Even with sacred anatomy, I mean, 80% of what we do is educate people that they're more than they think they are. So it's a conversation. It's an ongoing conversation, and we need to keep having it. And I love that you're persistent.
and the other thing I'm doing more and more of now is I seldom bring in a dowsing rod, but I invite in, depending on the beliefs of the family, I invite in helpers, perhaps from the heart and soul of God or whatever.
Well, however you have to language it.
However we have to language it. And I always used to be afraid of languaging it more. But moms are accepting that more and more and more and are saying, yes, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. So I think there's a change happening because they used to be really scared about something, about stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, there is a big change happening just globally. I think the veils are thinner than they were 20 years ago. And we're starting to have a more visceral impact of unseen beings in our world. Unseen beings like ancestors, unseen beings like guides and guardians or teachers and healers, or, you know, the angelic presences or the earth spirits, you know. One thing you can ask for in certain communities, and these are the more sort of fundamentally religious communities, is you can bring in the blessings of the mothers, the matriarchs, the blessings of all the matriarchs, the great mothers of all creation, you know, and this would include, and you can list them from the Bible, you can list them from the Quran, you can list them, you know, from your own lineage, you know, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother. And if they know the names of these people, they can call on them to give them the mother's blessing. And that's a beautiful thing to do. And this, Megan, would apply also to your young woman, giving her a mother's blessing, you know, when she becomes pregnant, she should receive the mother's blessing. How so many women go through pregnancy without the blessing of their mother. even though their mother might be happy that the baby's being born, there isn't any real transference of knowledge or transference of approval or acceptance. And women often feel very isolated, like I'm doing this all by myself. And that's a consistent thing you'll hear from pregnant women. I'm all alone, you know. My husband is out having a beer with his buddies, and I'm all alone. And women do feel that way. All right, who else has got a question? Anybody? Yes, Chelsea.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I was a little late and I'm also very new to everything, so excuse me if it's repetitive. But
It's cool.
yeah, kind of going off of what Elizabeth was saying with the spirit guides, like guides and guardians. I had a period like last summer where like I was able to connect with guides like very, very easily. And I've went through a very big grounding phase and I'm kind of like coming out of that now and like wanting to reconnect and like trying to meditate and I'm going in all these different directions. And I guess my question is like if I do like want to connect with like guides again to have like more guidance, is there kind of like, I don't know, any advice when meditating or like any different, I don't know, from like your experience or seeing other people's paths that you would want to speak to?
Yeah, I can give you some real solid instruction here. Number one, don't go all over the place when you're trying to meditate. Try to keep it kind of quiet, you know? And if you're new to meditation, there's a couple of things I suggest. One is to put on some really beautiful music and lose yourself in it a little bit. And that quiets your mind. I recommend Stephen Halpern. I love Stephen's music, and it's very meditative. and he also, he attunes his music to. He has one called the Alpha and another called Beta and another Theta, and so they're attuned to the brain waves and the tempo of the brain waves and stuff. So if you listen to the music, it puts you in an altered state, which is kind of what you're trying to do with meditation. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to alter your state of consciousness, but you're also trying to get space. And that's why I say don't do a lot of different things don't switch from meditation type to meditation type in the course of your meditation. Mm-hmm. If you can get just 5 minutes a day of quiet in your brain, guides and guardians will simply come. Mm-hmm. You'll connect. You'll have the opportunity to begin feeling that veil between us and them getting thinner. You'll be able to feel that. But it's just a matter of quieting the mind for a few minutes a day. You don't have to sit for an hour. You don't have to have total silence. In our culture, we can rarely have total silence. So that's why I say putting on some meditative music. And there's lots of meditative music. One of my favorite things to do is to, with all this, Alexa and Spotify and all this stuff, you have access to lots and lots of music. So Ravi Shankar has recorded a morning raga. And I listen to the morning raga often. And I love listening to Ravi Shankar play the morning raga because you can feel the sun coming up and it's just this beautiful meditative experience. So the more time you can get in the day when your chatter is quiet, the closer you get to guides and guardians and connection with the angelic field.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Do you have a practitioner, a sacred anatomy practitioner?
No. Well, no. I heard about you through my my therapist, Susanna Bustos. She's recommended and she's guided me in some of the practices, and I've worked with the edge very minimally. But
what's her name again?
Susanna Bustos.
Oh, my Susanna. Susanna Bustos has gone through my training up to the medbag level.
Okay.
She's a wonderful therapist.
Yeah, she's incredible.
And she's a wonderful woman too.
Yes.
Just FYI.
Yep. She's lovely.
She is. Well, that's great. Well, say hi for me. Give her a big hug when she comes back from Chile.
Yes, I will.
All right. Thank you for coming, and come again. Check out the Sangha, which is, when is it, Cheryl? When's our Sangha?
The next Sangha will be in April on Sunday the 12th.
Okay, yeah. So come hang out with us. So we do really cool things. I do as many free things as I can. So
Cool.
give people the opportunity to hang out. Thank you for such a good question. That was great. Has anybody else got a question? Cheryl.
Yes, you speak regularly about the veil is thinning. And I'd love to understand what that means and how we can work with it. I'm just curious about that whole process. What is this thinning of the veil and what does it mean?
Well, it's an old-fashioned term. And, those of you know anything about me know that my grandmother was a spiritualist. And there was an expression, the veil is parting, and that would mean that a spirit was coming in, to speak. And so when we say the veil is thinning, what I'm saying is that the distinction between the living and the dead is becoming less distant. And the distinction between the other realms that exist, and there are 13 different realms that exist in our cosmology, and those realms, the veil between that separates us from us and, using a traditional term, heaven, right? The distinction between us and heaven is less and less, which means that heaven on earth is becoming more and more possible. It also means that, we're more and more in touch with guides, guardians, healers, teachers, beings who have attained enlightenment and who are invested in the human species continuing. They're more available to us now. There are more and more people who are hearing the voice of the unseen, who are seeing and feeling the unseen, and who are attuned to that. There are more and more of us. That's why I say, Chelsea, it can happen for you too. We're all tuning in and feeling more and more awake to the unknown, the unseen. So that's what I mean. The barrier is getting thinner.
That seems to be kind of exciting.
It is. I think it's kind of exciting. I think the whole process of awakening the human species is exciting. It's not easy, sometimes we have setbacks, but we're plugging away. And we're continuing on this journey, which, I began when I was a little kid. I started this journey consciously when I was about 14. And it just, so many of us have done that. So many of us. My story is unique. So many of us. I know Lori Hart started her journey early on. So did Elizabeth, so did Christina. We're interested. I know Jose for sure has been plugging away for decades. we all have. And that's why we need each other. We need community. A wonderful thing that His Holiness the Dalai Lama said was that the next Buddha that will come, and there's been a number of Buddhas, it's not just been one Buddha, there's been a bunch of them, but that the next Buddha who will come will be the Sangha. So the Sangha is the community. So it isn't like one guy will attain enlightenment and say, okay, everybody, here's what it looks like. It will be the entire community together reaching an awakened state. Doesn't that hit you, Fred? Hits me, boy, when I have that sense of it. I mean, it always makes me feel so happy. And I've come to a place in my work where things are shifting, definitely shifting, which is awesome. Okay, I think I'll go ahead and take one more question, unless nobody has one. Then we'll go ahead and close. Yeah, Christine, go ahead.
Yeah, you said you're shifting. How?
I am.
Oh, do you want to share?
I'm giving things away. I'm asking for people to help me do things like now we have, I don't know, 10 people teaching the Edge class. We've reduced the length of the Edge class down to 3 hours as opposed to 6 3-hour classes. It's now condensed. I'm getting ready to give energetic hygiene away. It's like I'm doing other things now. So the primary classes, the beginning classes that I've developed and taught for 25 years are now I'm looking for my students to teach them. And many of my students, one right here, Chenson Mills today, and also Cheryl Berry, have created beautiful procedures that they're doing, and they teach them. I don't teach them. So I'm changing in that regard, but I'm also finding I have less patience or interest in, kind of repeating the same. I'm more interested in this kind of a conversation or forum than I am, teaching somebody how to hold a dowsing rod.
Thanks.
I mean, it's a good skill. What can I say?
Yeah.
Oy vey.
We love our wires.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell this story to Lori Hart because she needs to hear this. So I had a new neighbor move in across the street. This is his intentional community. Okay. So this woman moves into this house that was owned for years by this guy who sang opera and, a really interesting guy, but we weren't really friends. And she's now moved in. I took a plate of cookies over because I try to do that when new people move in. I'm old fashioned that way. So I came over and I met her and she heard my name. And so she looked me up online. And she started to read my website and she saw the name Bob Mahaney in my website. Bob Mahaney is the guy who taught me how to dowse and who I got my first dowsing rod from. And he also taught Lori Hart. So this was in the 70s. So this was in 75, 76, right in there. Okay, so this woman who lives across the street from me now studied with Bob Mahaney and pulled out her dowsing rod and showed it to me. Let's see if I can find mine. Yeah, here it is. Here's my dowsing rod from Bob Mahaney. This is the dowsing rod I use now. This is a guy who is an engineer. Mm-hmm. This has been created for ladies. Titanium, aluminum. This is pure stainless steel and brass. It was really heavy. The other thing is it just was not designed for women with boobs. It was just whack, It's miserable. And the thing would loft, So this one that I designed with a wonderful machinist doesn't do that. But that was a long time. Isn't that wild? Right across the street.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sometime when you and I are talking, I'll want to know this woman's name.
Yeah, her name's Robin.
Okay.
I'll give you more. She wrote a really good book.
Oh,
she wrote a book about love and miracles and medicine. And her daughter was born with cystic fibrosis. and they were told when she was a teeny little kid, 1 year old, that she wouldn't live much beyond 10 years old, or maybe she'd live to be 15, but probably not much older. She's 43. So Robin has been a phenomenal mother, and her book is really impressive. I'm reading it right now. I'll share it on the website. I'll recommend it there.
Thanks. I love that story.
Yeah, she douses so, with its giant rod. Anyway. Okay, well, let's wrap things up. Cheryl, let's see some slides here. We've got 2 events coming up. I want to invite you to come on April 10th to another Ask Anything. And it says 10 to 11, but it almost always goes to 11:30. And then we also have the Sangha coming up on April 12th. So the Sangha we're titling it Building Resilience for These Trying Times, but mostly I'm talking about how do we survive this stuff that we're going through? How do we hold on to our center? How do we know who we are in and amongst the chaos that we're watching occur all around us? So thank you very much for coming today. It has been pure delight. Pat, it was awful great to see you. I love it that you're here. And just for fun's sake, anybody who has taken the Edge class, raise their hand. All right. Anybody who's taken hygiene, raise their hand. Anybody who's taken MedBag, raise their hand. Anybody who's taken practitioner training, raise their hand. All right. Well, this is so good. I love it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being part of my world and our world. And we have a wonderful, juicy field. So I want to thank all the Sacred Anatomy angels who have space for us today and enabled us to connect. Hope to see you, Eileen. To see you in person and give you a big old-fashioned hug.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Take care,
Blessings,
everybody.
everyone.
Blessings and love. And Cheryl, I'll see you a little later on for our meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, all. Bye, Fred.
Bye now. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.